Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. I'm your host, Travis. Oscar Mike Radio is about military and veterans events, stories, happenings, and the people who serve and support us. And today I have a longtime supporter and fellow podcaster and artist extraordinaire, Tina Hargett. Welcome to Oscar Mike Radio.
Well, good afternoon, Travis. Good evening. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. I also want to thank you for your military service to our country, and very, very grateful for that. But I'm glad to be here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm always happy to talk with a fellow podcaster. Tina co-hosts a show on the IQ Podcast Network called The Take It Back Show. There we go.
Yeah.
And it's always good to talk with somebody who's in the craft. So how'd you start in podcasting?
Well, it started as just an idea. Tommy and I have been friends for quite some time, and we went through some personal issues together separately, but I mean, around the same times, and kind of things that touched us and veterans and, first responders. And we thought, what can we do to make a difference? And little by little, he said, why don't we do a podcast? And I thought, oh, you're crazy, Tommy. You're absolutely crazy. I'm never going to get on film and talk to people online. Put a microphone in front of me and I'll sing, but talking to people, that was just like, no. But he said, let's just do it. So we were lucky enough to get onto IQ Podcasts and came up with the Take It Back show. Basically, we want people to take back their lives and really focus on veterans, first responders, and then eventually anybody who could benefit from finding ways to get out of their depression or anxiety.
Well, speaking of that, because I looked over some of the episodes before we started talking, and I'm like, there was that common theme where, take it back. You're in the valley, you're in the suck, as we say in the military, but take it back. And what do you think is the biggest impediment from people being able to take it back?
A lot of times it's the stigma of saying, hey, I need help. And I know people don't want to talk.
I don't like saying help.
Yeah, nobody wants to say I need help. And a lot of people will say I'm beyond help. But I actually got to say that that was probably the biggest thing for most people that I know. Nobody wants to say, hey, I'm sad, I'm depressed. Don't want to ask for help.
Well, from the military side and from being a dude like myself, if I say I need help, it means I'm weak. It means I'm exposing vulnerability, and you're not supposed to do that. So, and that's deeply ingrained inside me, right? Mm-hmm. So you're saying that's not really the best approach, though?
No, I think that people that have had that ingrained, especially men, okay, don't take that personally.
No, I don't, because I'm there. I'm guilty.
Okay. But men, especially, I would say Marine Corps is probably the toughest. And of course, you know what that's like. You are brainwashed. And I say that lightly, brainwashed to be this tough, badass. Can I say badass?
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, to be this badass individual, and you don't need help. You're there to fight. You're there. You're strong. You're tough. Nobody can infiltrate your being. You are the provider. You are the strong person, and yeah, you don't want to be vulnerable. So I think that it's difficult, especially with veterans and first responders, that's always ingrained in their thought process.
So you start this podcast with Tommy. I had him on, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, very recently, and for the same reason I'm having you on, but very cool. What has come out of doing that podcast? And the reason I asked that is a lot of people want to start a podcast, which I'm all for, but it's the why and keeping it going that is really the challenge. So you haven't, this isn't a recent podcast. You've been doing this for a while. What has happened to you and Tommy because you've done this podcast?
Well, I'd like to say that I have learned myself how to get out of some of these valleys that I personally face. I've had some tragedy happen in my life and loss of people, quite a few people in the last year and a year and a half, and some other personal issues. And what I take from everyone in this podcast that we interview is how they got through it. What do they do on a daily basis to make their lives better? How did they take back their lives? How did they take control of it? And how are they living their best life?
So you're saying by learning about their stories, you're not only sharing that path with other people, you're able to take that and apply it to your own life.
Right.
So you're giving and getting at the same time.
Exactly. It's, you talk about volunteering and doing things for people, and in return, it's really sounds selfish, but you get so much more out of it, I think. And as a podcaster, talking to people and their stories, we have learned really there's no cookie cutter way for people to get out of their own little valley, their own little depression or whatever that's bothering them. So finding out how people from comedy to music to meditation, yoga, that kind of stuff, it's amazing. Somebody out there is going to find that meaningful podcast, and it's going to apply to their lives. So I like the aspect of being able to help everybody.
So we're going to come back to podcasting here in a second, but I'm very curious. You're not just a hobby singer, like you can sing. Okay. Well, the reason I say that is I have a little bit of a singing background. You've forgotten more about it than I know, but I understand how hard it is. And I'm watching some of your performances and I'm like, wow. And I say that out of respect as one singer to another, or someone who uses their voice like you do. Where did that come from? Because some people think singing is just easy. You get up there with a microphone, you say some words, but I'm like, it's not, right? It's not.
No.
So where'd that come from, and how have you been doing it?
I've been singing since I was a little girl.
Right.
And it really started, and this is kind of relevant to what we're talking about. For the longest times, I would hum the national anthem. And they laugh at me and my family, but I used to call it the thun-thun, because I would sing thun-thun, thun-thun, thun. And one of my family members said, "Hey, you should learn the words to that song. Someday you can sing it." And I do that all over the place. But really, where did it come from? I don't know. I think God gave me a gift, but I just like to sing. I never really thought that I was good, just that I like to sing. And
let's talk about the national anthem. Now, I've sung it 3 times in front of people. Mm-hmm. I have to tell you that, I would sing a long time ago some classical music, but by far, I think that song, for me at least, is one of the most difficult to sing well. It's not written for singers to really sing, I don't think.
No, not really. But it's one that I've learned throughout my life, and I love to. I mean, I've sung at air shows, motorcraft, or what is it? Motocross.
Motorcycles.
Hockey games, soccer games, just you name it, just everything around town. So auto racing and that kind of stuff. But to me, it is my favorite song to sing.
Really?
Because it's just so American, and I'm such a big patriot that it's scary.
Well, no problem there. So it is your favorite song. I was going to ask you, what's it feel like when you hit those notes? And some people know to, take off their hats, put their hand over their heart and show respect. It's got to feel good.
Well, I like it because everybody kind of comes together and they are expressing their emotion for their country. And to me, I get this just proud feeling inside of me when I sing it. And, it makes me feel that we are still a beautiful nation, and there's still so many people here that love our nation. So, but I'm proud when I sing it.
So you've been singing all your life. The national
Yes.
anthem is your favorite song. Now, if that's your favorite song, like what's your like favorite genre to sing? Because it looks like to me, because I'm like, oh my God, I mean, this singing career has covered a huge swath of your life. It's not just something that you do for, it's who you are, it seems. What else do you love to sing?
I really like country rock. To me, I know it sounds crazy. I'm in Los Angeles, so oh yeah, she's country. No, I do sing a lot of country. It's just a multitude of things, but more of the rock, country rock kind of stuff. But they cross over. Pat Benatar, Martina McBride, they kind of do the same stuff. So that's kind of what I like.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you know who Jason Aldean is?
Oh yes, I do.
Do you know who Luke Bryan is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, moving right along.
Why do you ask?
Well, I'm in Nashville, right, with Danielle. Actually,
Right.
no. So Danielle and I are on this Danielle Rocco,
Yes,
Coach
of
Rocco.
course. Of
Yeah,
course.
devote. I mean, yeah.
Devoted to a soldier? Yeah.
We can unpack that for a while, Danny and me. But we're on this Facebook message chat with Michelle Baxter, and Danielle's all excited because, hey, we're gonna get to meet Jason Aldean's dad. And I ask her, I'm like, who's Jason Aldean?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what her and Michelle Baxter did, and so I haven't been able to live that one down. But
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know who Luke Bryan is either.
Wow. But that's okay.
Oh,
I listen to everything. So, I listen to Led Zeppelin, I listen to all the good old, hair uh hair rock tunes of the 80s, you name it, country, classical. So it's okay if you don't know Luke
all
Bryan.
right. Thank you. You're compared to Michelle. I mean, you're very gentle. I appreciate that. Who's your favorite, female singer? I mean, you've been doing this all your life. Is there any, singer that stands out to you more than the others?
I'd have to say Pat Benatar, to be honest with you. I grew up listening to her. I'm not much younger than she is, but yeah, she was wonderful growing up, singing her songs, but she's classically trained. So I think that is the reason why I really like her vocals, capacity.
Did you take any classical singing lessons?
I did for probably 2 years. So,
Well, that's what I did for about 2 years, and I I forgot. Look, I don't sing anymore, but anyway, I when I was doing it, because I was classically trained, when we'd go sing in church or for a
mhm,
contest, you did have an advantage over people who had not been classically trained. It was very stark
right.
to be able to have a judge or someone in the audience pick out that you actually were taught right. So interesting. We can talk about singing all day long. We can go
I
down that rabbit hole,
know,
Tina.
but I'm curious to know why you don't sing anymore.
Well, that's a different conversation for a different
Oh,
time.
we're going to have to talk about that next week.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff we can unpack. But
That's true.
coming to singing and performing, before we get into the real meat of the matter, it's not just something you do, it's something you are. And I always like to ask a fellow practitioner, if you will, what's it like when the light's on you and you go take that first breath and hit that first note? What's it like on stage?
Sometimes I'm terrified.
Really?
I think you get the idea. Sometimes I'm terrified and then I kind of let go. And it's who I am. Like you said, it's who I am. I tend to say, okay, this is really who I am. Maybe the person you just talked to 5 minutes ago off stage isn't, the true me. The true me is to be able to share song and music with people. And I get a kick out of it. It's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So speaking of singing and performing, you're coming to Nashville next week,
Yes, sir.
and you're coming to support a great cause and something truly unique. Kind of
Right.
like, Tommy Anderson's coming, you're coming,
Mhm.
you're coming to support Marine Corps veteran Chris Turner,
Right.
the Crosswinds Foundation, to launch the Freedom Tour out of the appropriately named Bold Patriot Brewing Company. How did you get involved in all that? Because it's like becoming a thing now. Like this is just snowballing into something huge and fantastic.
Right. Tommy and I were talking about, he says, oh, I'm going to go to Nashville. And he told me what was going on. And I got to meet Danny in person a couple months ago, which was really cool. We hung out with her while she was here in Southern California. And we just been conversing back and forth. And Tommy invited me to one of the meetings for the Freedom Tour. And that's where I got to meet you online. And I told him I really like what's going on here. I've been looking personally for something to help veterans because it's so near and dear to my heart. I feel like I've been searching for this. And when I got on that meeting and I said to myself, this is it. This is truly it. I want to help families. I want to help veterans. So it inspired me. I think God puts people in places that make a difference in your life. And I think that it's important that you act upon it.
So what it is, right, though, it's for everybody listening, and you've seen this with the Tommy Anderson show, and we're having more coming up to it. Danny is raising awareness around this event. Is the Crosswinds Foundation created this, Warriors Hope curriculum that anybody, and I've taken the course myself, that anybody can sit down and go through the course and figure out how to take action to help those suffering from PTSD, or moral injury.
Right.
And Chris Turner and Pastor Waldrop, Bob Waldrop, created the course, got together and said, we can make this work. How can we work together? And with the cooperation of the Tennessee VFW, they're going to launch the official, they did a soft launch on April 17th, Tina, but the official, we're rolling is, Friday, April 30th at the Bold Patriot Brewery. And it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. And I like, you've talked to Chris. What did you feel when you started getting to talk with him and understand his background?
Well, knowing that he's a Marine, I used to be married way back in my former life to a Marine. And I was married to him for quite some time. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, but I kind of feel that connection because I am such, a person who supports our military that I instantly felt like I knew him. Just like I feel like I've known you. I don't, he laughs, what do you know about me? Danny's told me everything. And
that's that. You didn't have to say a word.
But yeah, so I like his mission. I've listened to his music. I think he's great. And I think that supporting this, we would like to see him go nationwide, obviously, with this tour. Would love to help set something up here in Southern California. He inspires me.
Well, that is why, to me, it was so important to talk with you, because all of a sudden, the last 6 weeks, there's been, for lack of a better term, this energy around this day in April. And I, like you, I'm hearing somebody who's like, hey, I need to be there. Not that I have to come across the country, and no, I need to be there. And even, Danny and I have talked, we're not really sure what's coming out of this, but there is a real, it feels right to be there.
Of course.
And I think it's needed. So it's just very exciting to have this event going on. It's very exciting to be involved. And, I think for me, one of the reasons I want to talk to you is, you're a singer, you support the military, you have a podcast, you've done that, but also, I tell people you're a civilian, but you've given back to people that, serve their country, are serving their country. And that's very important to unpack why. So, why is it that you feel that connection with us?
I think it's because of my past marriage. My son served in the Army. He was in the Army for 7 years, did a tour in Iraq, was stationed Texas, Korea, Fort Irwin, California. And he made me so proud, being a mom and raising a child that wants to serve their country. That even makes you more of a patriot. It makes you feel this connection. We've often gone places, we're at the airport, we'll buy the guys in uniform lunch or whatever they need. And, we just feel this connection. My husband as well is a strong patriot. My
Speaking of moms real quick, it wasn't until I got out that mom sat me down one day and told me, like, I was in Gila Bend in Yuma, Arizona, So I was in Gila Bend in the middle of the desert. And I'm like, yeah, how are you doing? Because, this is before cell phones and Instagram and all that. And we were getting ready to roll out into the desert, and Gila Bend's your last stop. And then it's 40 miles out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, yeah, going out in the desert, we'll be gone for a week. It's 125 degrees, and hung up the phone. And I didn't realize the connection that you all have to us daughters or our sons serving. And it was really special. It's really special. And speaking of special, it's just, again, I'm going back to this. I'm saying this again, but it just feels like a special time. And I'm really glad you're there. And I'm really glad to, talk with a fellow podcaster, Tina. Because I'm like, the Take It Back show is needed.
Yeah.
It's needed. And I appreciate it. And so I can't wait to meet you in Nashville. I can't wait to hear about how you feel about everything going on when you're out there checking it out. I'm going to, value your feedback on this experience and other experience. I just want to thank you for coming out and talking with me.
Well, I appreciate it. Again, I'm excited for next week. Freedom Tour, April 30th at the Bold Patriot Brewing Company in Nashville. Anybody out there, it's not too late to make your reservations. Get on a plane and come out and join us. It'll be a wonderful, like you said, a very, I think, emotional and encouraging night. So,
and like pro-America event.
Yes.
Just to close, give me one more minute. Like, isn't it cool? Like, this is a spot where we can be like really proud to be Americans. Like, it's not like a bad thing.
Exactly. Absolutely. I completely concur. It's amazing. And I think that brings the energy, because I like to know, that people are still out there that love our country.
I mean, certainly we have our problems. I mean, we're not perfect. I mean, anybody will say that, but man, this is, when you've gone to other countries, this is we got it pretty good here.
We do.
We're pretty good here.
We're very blessed.
Absolutely. Well, I have been absolutely blessed to talk with you, Tina. And, all this happens because people got together and people shared and people wanted to support each other. And so I am happy to do this show. I'm happy to have people like Tina on. I'll have links to the IQ Podcast Network and her show, and maybe some of her clips of her singing, which is really, really good.
Hey, I got to tell you, maybe you could be on our show sometime soon. That would be great. We could talk about what's going on with the Freedom Tour. I think that would be really cool.
That'd be a good idea. Yeah, so we can make that happen. One hand washes the other, right?
Hey, we got to get the word out there. It's important, and it's my mission to help out as much as I can.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, folks, as we say at Oscar Mike Radio, we are mission in flight. We will see you together on the 30th in Nashville, Tennessee at the Bold Patriot Brewing Company for the Freedom Tour. And Chris Turner and Pastor Waldrop, thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.